you'd like to do sort of like the harbor committee, try it for a bit and see how it works, and if you're finding that you're not getting timely material, maybe we could look at it again.
Councillor Russell?
Yes, I concur with my colleague beside me, because the weekends are wonderful for sitting back after you read the first draft of it and you think, come back and later. I do. But, you know, I think that's a good point. We work, it's a good time to, and you can make a phone call. You can usually find a lot of people on weekends. It's amazing how people are around. But if that works for Carol and her crew, right, and keeps, I think the reality of the situation is, were we not doing this to be more efficient and effective? Isn't that part of it? So I have to ask her, you know, is that going to be efficient and effective for you? It's no change, right? So that means
For putting the agenda together, that's
Exactly,
not a
that's my
problem.
point.
It delays the decision by 3 days, but.
okay. Let's think about our strategic plan, guys. If we're worried about that, then we should have been worried about that too.
Yep. So we'll keep the same schedule. We'll have to amend our procedure bylaw to stay the Monday, the 2 Mondays before the meeting. It will have to be, correspondence has to be received by noon, 2 Mondays before the meeting. And staff reports will have to be, or any items the councillor wants to add, have to be in there before noon, second Wednesday before the meeting. We'll get those amended and brought back in a report for a procedure update. Right now the motion is Thursday. Did we pass the motion on the Tuesdays? Pass that? Okay, so the second is there will be no change, we'll just amend the bylaw to reflect the same schedule for the agenda. You put a motion on that? We don't need to have a motion on that. Yeah.
I'll move that change
On the procedure bylaw. Second by Councillor Cook. All in favor of that? Carried. We'll get a new calendar set out. 8.9 is the clerk's report 23, Forest PIA. Is there a request for an exemption to the streets bylaw? I've been asked that the facade improvement loan program be deferred. Staff has some concerns and want to investigate that
Just need to do a
a
little bit of research.
little bit more research on that. So and their replacement board members. So it's the middle section of that, the middle paragraph, be tabled or deferred to a future report. Councillor Scott?
I'll move the recommendation of paragraph 1 and paragraph 3, omitting paragraph 2.
And say that it
And that will be deferred.
deferred and brought back at a later date. Seconder for that, Councillor McRae. Questions on that? All in favor of that? Carried. Thank you. 8.10, emergent update required for the land insurance procedure bylaw. This is it's a report on page 147. There's a recommendation there. Communications petitions. Councillor Russell. Move the recommendation. Councillor Russell moves. Councillor Cook second that recommendation. Deputy Mayor Day.
Yeah, I have some reservations about this recommendation, particularly the wording after where it says defamatory statements. Because I think that there's a lot, it's kind of void for vagueness here, and it's leaving a lot up to the discretion of the mayor and the clerk to decide if something is an allegation or is impertinent or is improper. And I think this could really create animosity in the public, and I don't want us to become at loggerheads. I think people have to have an opportunity to express things. I agree that if it's defamatory and clearly defamatory on its face, then absolutely the mayor and the clerk should have the authority to say that shouldn't be published. But you know, allegations or impertinent or proper, that's just too void, that's too vague. And some people are going to be very upset that their materials are not being addressed. And process for people to address that through the integrity officer or as a code of conduct matter, but they might feel that that's not their job to address because it doesn't fall clearly under the code of conduct because it's not, not their job. So I really major concerns about that, and so I cannot support the motion as it stands unless that final wording is removed that says or allegations or impertinent or improper matter be removed.
Councillor Scott?
I understand where you're coming from. As I said at the beginning of the meeting about bullying and stuff like that pertains to that, I think that maybe the terminology could be tweaked a bit, but I really believe that we don't need anything, we don't need a person to sit at that table and start with an attitude and with things. They have the right to come and discuss things, and they have the right to come here, but we are a business here. And I think what you're trying to do, if I'm not correct, is just make sure that we're getting a report ahead of time that's pertinent and isn't including things that are improper. Is that the plan, Carol?
Please.
As you know, this is a business, and you deal with businesses, and if people have issues, there's a process to bring issues to the table. If somebody has any questions, we can answer them. It sometimes is how the wording is done. If somebody was saying that I was a thief and you wanted council to look into it, then that statement is out there. So it's hard to retract. So sometimes if the wording could just be, just questions. Those could always come to your agenda.
Councillor Cook?
Well, that's what I was just going to say, the same thing. The letter should be kind of some professional, at least in a straightforward format, so that there is no allegations or that type of thing put into those type of letters. This is a business, and it should be proper business form attire that is going to come to our letter format that comes to our council stuff. We're going to be moving it forward that way. I don't think we're going to be addressing personally letters like that council.
Councillor Underwood?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the way it is right now, simply because a defamatory statement to me is impertinent and an unfounded allegation is improper. So all it's doing is just one more sentence, so people don't have to go to a dictionary maybe. It's right there.
The clerk has done some research on this, and it's in the report, and what other municipalities are doing and what.
And actually, that's word for word from one of the ones I believe is Oakville. That's the wording that they use that I thought might be appropriate for our council.
Councillor Bonston?
Yeah, I like the spirit of this. I think the spirit of it is excellent. I think it's long overdue, especially the delegation. We should be getting legibly written material that we can see ahead of time in the delegation, so there's no surprises. I guess the one thing, and maybe this is where the deputy, I can see your concern. I think when you add the mayor into it, it suggests a political influence. Perhaps the CAO and clerk, or the clerk with, if it's any question to it, you could get legal opinion on it. I don't think a member of the, and I understand you're the CEO, so I understand that as well, but I don't think you should be implicated, have a political thing saying, oh yeah, he didn't put that letter in because he didn't want me to answer it. So I think if it could be objective, with the clerk sending it back. Yeah, just.
Mayor, clerk, and CAO put 3 on it.
I just don't like the political suggestion to it, because it could smack of censorship, or the clerk is the clerk, you're in charge of records, you're in charge of getting stuff to the table. I think you can advise the mayor, I have no problem with that, but I think when it comes to returning it, I think it should come under your name.
Well, if you said it, the clerk would respond as to why it's not acceptable.
Yeah, I don't think the mayor should be part of this. I think you should be informed, but I don't think you should be part for your own sake. So it doesn't really cover up. I think the clerk, our clerk anyway, is fairly astute that she would send things back.
Councillor Russell?
You're a thief, but you're astute.
Oh.
Councillor Russell?
Yeah, she's good at.
She's an astute.
I know, she's an astute thief. I think it's an excellent report, and I agree with the deputy mayor, it's like there's little wordings in that, but I think to be honest, if you go to that part where she says,